Welcome to the Spotlight on Marketing, brought to us by Armstrong Lloyd. I'm your host, Karen Lloyd, and today we are joined by Melody Easton. Melody is a marketing maverick who's been shaking things up in the tech world for over 2 decades. And when she's not transforming complex tech into, oh, I get it now moments for her customers, you'll find her out on her mountain bike or catching waves on her paddleboard. But these days, she's all about pushing the boundaries with AI in marketing, which is what we're planning to talk about today. But don't worry, there are no robot overlords here. Mel has a real knack of making sure that new tech really fits into people's lives. And instead of making you want to throw your computer out the window, she's going to make it easier for us. So I'm super excited. Welcome, Mel.
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me. Actually, really excited to be here.
Oh, no, thank you very much. And it's amazing, actually, because you and I have been talking for a little while.
Yeah.
And when we were, you were originally recommended to me by one of our other podcast guests, Bree, who is the CMO from Big Hand, and because you've got a really strong legal tech background. But, since we've been speaking, you've actually even moved into more of an AI-focused role, haven't you, with the company that you're working with? When we started talking initially, you were using AI, as a one-man marketing team, really, previously, weren't you? And you'd really embraced marketing into your AI. And I just think that's amazing that you were one of the first pioneering people to do that, that I've spoken to. And in the past, you've run teams up to 15, and now you're working for smaller scaling businesses with a smaller team and smaller budget. How has AI affected the way you've run your teams and how you're doing that?
So actually, it's really interesting. I think AI has enabled us as a small team to be able to deliver more quicker with smaller budgets. But the way I see it, I think in the future, don't think AI is going to replace everyone. I think our teams will be slightly smaller from the context of if we've had 4 or 5 content creators, we won't need 4 or 5 content creators anymore. We'll probably need 2 or 3. And the reason is the beauty of AI is it takes away the drudgery. It takes away the boring. It takes away the tedious jobs that we can automate, give to AI, which means we can spend more time focusing on the things we actually like, the things we enjoy. For example, things that used to take weeks now take days or hours. Writing a blog used to just that first draft has always been so difficult getting started. Now you can have a first draft in a matter of seconds. You can then go through it and edit it. So it allows you to sort of scale that content creation a lot quicker. And I think the role of marketing or the types of jobs would change. So 2 years ago, we weren't talking about prompt engineers. Now I think I've started hearing that people are looking for prompt engineers because we need someone who's able to talk to these robots or talk to the Gen AI. So that's becoming rather a skilled job. Never ever thought of it. It wasn't even invented before. And now here's this new job, which is pretty cool.
I haven't heard of that. But to be fair, it is. I think it's that is key, really, because I think sometimes people think that you can just go and write a blog by writing one prompt and then you've got the blog and then you've done it. I mean, then you end up with something very benign. You can literally spot it a mile off. Yep. Can't you? Even with the formatting and everything when people have done that. So we're not suggesting, or you're not suggesting that's what you do. But if you were going to do, maybe talk us through the process of a blog and how what your team would do.
So it's interesting because one of the things I started creating a prompt library. And the prompt library has all the prompts that I use. And there's 2 reasons for this. One, I want the consistency. But also, if I've got a whole team doing stuff, you would write a prompt this way, I'd write a prompt that way. So by standardizing the prompts, it means no matter who's writing that blog on that day, we all start with the same prompts. And the other thing that we've done is as we change and evolve the prompts, as we've learned through trial and error, what we've done is I have in my prompt library, I have things like marketing frameworks. So when you're writing, you can say, pretend you are a seasoned content creator. You need to write something based on this framework. And it could be a sales framework, it could be a marketing framework, a business framework. It doesn't matter. And then you can say to it, and write it in the style of this person. So if there's an influencer that you like their style of, that they write social, you can then say, write that. So you start to be able to put these different nuances into those prompts that start to give you this information, which makes prompts a lot more exciting than just the normal generative, write me a blog on natural work management, which is just going to regurgitate something that really is going to be quite boring. But the more you talk to these engines, the more you explain, the more information you put in, the better the output.
And from the first prompt, how many prompts do you reckon you do on average to get the result? And then what else do you do other than just getting the AI to generate it?
So I think so for example, what we've done is I've trained my instance of ChatGPT to understand the voice of Belt. So by doing that, you can go in and say, I'd like to train you in the writing style, Belt writing style. And then it says, okay, you put some information in from an article that you like your style of. And then you keep feeding it that. And eventually you can say, okay, stop. It says, right, I've created this style. So now when I go and write, I will put in like the prompt saying, please write a blog based on this, and this. And then you put that in and it will generate the prompt. You can then go through and then I'll say, well, can you make this in the Belt writing style? And then it will regenerate it using our style. But AI can be a bit of a child. So sometimes it will go and you will look at it and you'll think, that's not the style that I'm used to. And then you have to tell it again. And then it goes, actually, you are right. I haven't done it in that. So you do have to constantly interrogate it, chat to it. You have to engage. And I think the more you do that, the more it learns and understands you. So it can be 1 or 2 prompts. If the first prompt is really good, you can get a really good first outcome. But like I say, sometimes it has its moments, it has its days, and it doesn't play nicely. So then you have to go back and just keep asking different prompts. And if it's come up with something that you think that's okay, but I wanted to go more into this side of that problem, then you can just add another prompt. It will rewrite it and start to sort of really channel it to what you want.
A little funny prompt my colleague did the other day. She put something in and at the end she said, oh, can you just write a little joke about this person as like a bit of banter? And it said, no, this is not what the AI is intended for. And
wow.
we were like, hey, it's actually got like a morality. We were really taken aback that they've obviously built that functionality into it, which I thought was really cool.
That's interesting. I haven't seen that before. It just seems to... Well, I think we all know it does hallucinate and it does make stuff up. And actually, I thought it was getting better, but it's not. Because the other day I was on a call with my CEO and we were talking about natural work management, this category we're building out. And I Googled and I went, wait a minute, there's something there. And he was like, really? And then it gave me this link and all this. And I was like, oh, wow, it's really impressive. But actually, when you click the link, it was a lot of rubbish. So It is still definitely hallucinating, going, yeah, I know everything, but it doesn't.
And sometimes it actually, if you're not careful, you really, word of warning, you have to check it. Sometimes it makes statistics up and puts it in.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm kind of like, where did they get that statistic? Was that in the data brief I gave them? And then I look back and go, no, it wasn't in any of my notes that I'd given. So yeah, absolutely.
And actually, on that point, there is a very good tool that you can use, which does go off and will find you your statistics and will give you the links to the articles so you can quickly sanity check the information you're getting. It's Perplexity.
Oh, Perplexity.
But you can use that. Yeah, it's getting better, but it at least gives you the links and you can quickly click in and see very quickly about Control F, look for that percentage that it's actually in there.
Okay, that's worth knowing. So if you think your AI is lying to you, check it with Perplexity. So it's a good, check the AI with the AI. But you have to be careful, don't you? Because it is like a child, and sometimes I think when you say it's like a child, it makes me laugh because I think it's so true. Because sometimes after you've asked the prompt, sometimes a few times, you can almost hear it going. Oh,
yeah, it doubles down on itself, and it actually starts to believe it's telling you the truth. And you're like, no, you're not. So it just gets a bit like, no, you're right, like a grumpy teenager.
So it's interesting, isn't it? Because in this scenario, some CEOs might say, do you know what? I don't need a marketing person now. I just need a junior who can use AI, like you're saying, a really good prompt writer. Do you think this is true?
No. And the reason is back in the day, people used to call the marketing department the coloring in department. I've heard it. I was on a call on Monday with a group of CMOs in our industry, and it came up. Everyone was like, yeah, this is what people used to say about us. But marketing has evolved. We are so much more than that. We're very strategic. We're part of the revenue team. We're all trying to drive to the same goal. And I think you know what you know, right? So I could be a junior marketer. I've joined the business and I can use AI. AI is brilliant for insights. AI is brilliant for content first drafts. But what it isn't able to do yet at this point in time is have human empathy. It can't actually read the room. It doesn't have the human nuances that we have. Like when we talk, we know who our personas are and we've met them in person. So we have a better natural understanding of that human connection. The robots aren't there. These generative AI tools aren't there. People will tell you it's coming. Interesting, I was on a webinar yesterday and they've got statistics that say not in the next year, at least. People say it's going to take over, but it's just not there. There's this quite famous robot who's been trying to just do a human activity of thread a needle. It's been running for months and it actually just can't do that simple task. So it's very good at understanding the insights, but you have to know what insights to look for. And I think with age and wisdom comes that knowledge of what to look for. So like, for example, when one of the companies I've worked at, I joined and things like HubSpot, which we use, the country field is not pre-populated. It actually is a text field. So if you can do data segmentation, which we actually all need for these AI tools anyway, what happens is someone like United Kingdom, it can be UK, United Kingdom, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Great Britain, GB. There's so many different ways you can do it. So we always go in and put in, well, the first thing I do in any company, I go to HubSpot, build the same object every single time. But I know that because I'm older, I'm wiser, I've been around the block. New people wouldn't know that. Exact same if you took that and you ask them to do everything in AI, they don't know what they don't know. So you need the people who have that business acumen, who understand all the different facets of marketing, which I just don't think the machines are at. And likewise, we understand our positioning, our messaging, our competition. You can use AI and put in all your competitor websites and go do a competitor analysis, and that's great. And it really does help to do that. But again, it's those nuances that we know from working in the field that I just don't think they're there. I think you need that management level to understand that.
And I think the point I'd add to that answer to me is also the stakeholder engagement, because as we've just said, the AI is submissive, isn't it? And a junior person too submissive. So if a CEO challenges them and says, oh, right, okay, we were doing X marketing initiative. I had a dream last week and I think we should change it to do Y. A junior marketing person, the AI would go, oh, okay. Whereas somebody more strategic might say, well, we've just invested 6 months of our time. Yeah. I'm happy to change, but basically, and push back and say, look, we're nearly there on this. And if we pivot now, we might miss out on X, Y, and Z, but the decision's yours, rather than just coming and saying yes, 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 and doing what
Absolutely.
they want. And so for me, that's the real key with that combo really there as well. But yeah, there we go. So
yeah, I think it comes down to CMOs do have that ability of combining AI insights with that human emotion. And we need that because our prospects and customers are human. Well, at least the last time I checked, they were.
Yes, exactly. And it's the same as recruitment too. Sometimes people talk about using AI to interview and select people, but at the end of the day, the reason we buy and the reason we even take a job or hire somebody is that chemistry that's between two parties. And it can be, the reason someone actually buys from you because they like the salesperson at the end of the day, or there's some empathy there as well, which isn't found in the AI. We've already talked about the blog side, but what other aspects have you used?
I started in this new role at the beginning of December last year, so quite new into the role, but really excited because they do use AI within the product.
Excellent. Tell us a bit about the new role then, and what your new company's product is and how it works.
Okay, so essentially what the founders of Belt discovered was post-pandemic, trying to manage people in this hybrid and distributed world is actually quite difficult. We've actually gone to market, spoken to quite a few firms, and they all seem to have this problem. And how do you manage people in remote or distributed? Because distributed teams I can be in London, you can be in Leeds. We don't have that human connection. Even though we're in the office, we're still digital. We connect digitally. So what they've done is we fit into the work management sort of category, but we're trying to use AI to bring about a natural work management application. So what it does, the AI will look through your emails, your Teams. We use Confluence, so it actually picks up stuff in Confluence, and will pick up requests of you because the way it's been built, it understands that request language. And then from that, it creates tasks. So we have this dashboard where we have an inbox, and it will create the tasks in your inbox. You can then go in and you can accept the task, or you can actually delegate it to someone else in your team. So that's really good because you're not having to think right down, go, oh, I must do that, because the AI is actually generating that for you. And then the other thing that it does is from all of that, we've created this unified calendar. So essentially at the moment, you have your calendar, which has all your meetings, and then you'll use a project management tool for all your tasks. We've brought that into a unified calendar so you can actually see everything you're working on in your day. So your tasks, your meetings, your deadlines, they all come into one view. And then what's really cool is a part that I love is we've just launched the management tab. So it gives me insight into what my teams are doing. So, for example, when I first joined Belt, we used to have daily stand-ups with both the growth team, so the revenue and the marketing team would get together. And those were half an hour a day. So my marketing team, that's 3 of us, we then think about that as 1.5 hours a day we're on a call as a collective. Over a week, that's 7.5 hours. So I said to them, well, just use our own product. At the end of the day, it actually runs a report on everything you've been working on, your tasks and meetings. They can send an end of day report. I can just look at that and go, okay, they're working on this, this, and this. It gives me visibility into them, but it means they don't have to all jump on this call. So admittedly, I have put in a once a week stand up so we can all get together and share knowledge. So that's 3 hours, but I've still gained 4.5 hours back in the week of marketing team. Now, if the team was bigger, that would be more. So I find that really interesting. And the other thing that's really interesting about it from a management level is I can look at my team. We've got this workload indicator that shows me if they've got too much work, too little work. Am I showing bias towards a particular staff member and giving them more work because unintentionally, I think they do the job better, which means they're getting overwhelmed, they're going to burn out. Whereas I've got other team members that could have taken on some of that. So it helps you work, gives you insight into the actual team and helps you manage them better, I suppose.
Oh, wow. It sounds really intriguing. It sounds really clever, a really clever combination of AI and also overcoming a business problem. So as
Yeah.
well as a normal software platform, that's amazing.
Honestly, it's incredible what you can do with AI these days. And you can get very strategic. You can drill down into things. You can go to it. Like there's this GPT, I think it's called Problem GPT. You can find it in the chat GPT under the blog, the prompts, and you can go in and you can tell it what your problem is. It will then start to interrogate that problem. So I could go in and go, okay, for my company now, the problem is how do you manage people in a hub and distributed teams? And you can go in, and it actually has been built on a framework. It will then come out with some ideas, and then you can start building out these very strategic plans, and you can interrogate it, ask it questions. When it comes out to something, you can dig deeper if there's certain points you like. So very good for building strategic plans. It's very good for social. I mean, to be able to understand your messaging, because now in ChatGPT, you can have projects, and in those projects, you can put documents, and then it understands those documents. So if you're running a campaign, you can have a folder on your campaign. You can then put all your messaging for that campaign in there. And then what you can do is it's brilliant at writing your social posts, especially if it understands your voice as well. Again, always check. I'm not saying put it in, take it and whack it out on your social platforms because you'll find yourself in a whole heap of trouble. But it's really good at helping to scale that up. We live in, honestly, there's so much content, so much noise. We have to keep churning this out to try and get visible. So it's really good at that. And then, so we're talking about the generative AI on the chat side, the tech side, but there are other sides that are coming out, like Midjourney is amazing for graphics. And if you look at the evolution of that in 2 years, what we used to get as images 2 years ago to what we get now, the advancement is phenomenal. I will still use a graphic designer. They're not going anywhere because they have this creative, and also they understand the brand. So, and they have this originality. It's more authentic. But if you just need something quickly, you can use these tools to get some AI. And actually, I saw that Coca-Cola last year used an AI tool to make their Christmas advert with the big trucks and everything. There's a lot of sort of good and bad response to it, but they even starting to use it for these big brands. So it's quite interesting. We're starting to get images, trying to get videos. And to that point, when I was in my previous role, we were doing all these blogs. So we had all these blog posts going out. And then we thought, wait a minute, we can use some AI tools. And we use a tool called InVideo. It was in its infancy then. It's definitely improved. But we would just take our blog, dump it into InVideo and say, please create a video of this. It would then create the video. We could then, and we uploaded a few sets of standard video snippets. And so we could quickly edit it. And then we could put it on the same page as a blog because we started to understand that people digest information different ways. So you could either read the blog or watch the 90-second video that explained the blog. So we had different ways using AI. We could produce very quickly different ways for people to consume that information. And we also then found that the videos were really useful because you could then break them down even further using AI. And we could put those onto our social channels, which got better engagement than just, hey, read our blog. Because people know to read a blog can take 5 to 10 minutes. But to watch a 90-second video, you still get the same insights.
The video it creates, would it be a person or is it like a cartoon or animation?
Oh, it's got stock images. So it's got a whole library of both images and videos in the back end that you can use. And so it's actual people. But what we would do was we would take some of the videos we had created that showed the interface of our solution. And we would then pull those in. So it still had our branding. We'd put a top and tail at the end. So it looked like our brand, fitted our voice. But it was a really quick way. I mean, in the past, I would have had to wait 2 weeks for something like that. It took us 1 day to build ourselves in-house.
Well, you may see a video coming from me soon. I might have a go at doing that. So let me go.
Happy to help walk you through it on your first attempt.
No, that's great.
I find it really fascinating.
Yeah, it really sounds exciting because video is a clever way, because sometimes video is one of those channels that can cause procrastination for people, can't it? Especially if it's their face in it and then they're worried about how they look. I mean, I do a lot of video myself these days, and I remember the first time I ever did a video, it took me 45 minutes. Just to do like a minute. And then I think it just took me hours. It took me the whole day. And then I just thought, right, now I just get on and I'm just very natural. And I just, I was like a robot in those first videos as well, looking like, someone was about to, murder me. But you just get better and using it. And that's what it is. It's practice, isn't it?
So, it is practice. But there's also these tools out there. I think Synthesia is one of them, that actually you can use avatars who look like humans. You put in the script and then they will come on and talk, and you're like, none the wiser. That is actually not a human, someone in your organization. You can, I think AI is helping us create content. It's getting better with the visuals, and we're going to be able to put out more content a lot quicker than we used to be able to.
Obviously, it's creating that sort of balance. But is there anything else you use other than content? Is there anything else that creation? Is there anything else you use AI for?
I use it probably for myself for planning. It's really good for strategic planning. So again, there's one, it's a GPT, I think it's called Campaign GPT. You can go in, if we're going to build a campaign, you can put that in and it will help you build the outline. Again, it's one of those things that just takes away the initial pain. You get the framework and then you can go in and create that and build that out. There are more and more training courses, and I'm going to go on them, that help CMOs do more strategic things with AI. So maybe I'll come back in a year and I'll have a whole series on all those strategic things.
No,
But
absolutely. How do you think there's the balance though? So of using the AI tool and then also having your own human creativity. So with regard to the strategic planning, how do you think there's that balance of those two?
okay, so what was really interesting was I was listening to a podcast and it was Dio CEO, Stephen Bartlett, and he was talking to Jimmy Carr. And he asked Jimmy Carr this question. He went, are you worried about AI? Because you are a comedian, and you obviously are a very creative person. And Jimmy Carr turned around and went, not bothered. And he was like, why aren't you bothered? This is AI. He goes, it's a covers band. It's not the real thing. It's, everything that it spits out, someone has had to put in. It's had to learn this. It's not original content. He goes, so I'm not really that worried about it. He goes, at the moment, it can synthesize, it can reorder, it can refine existing material, and it does it well. And it's great for like tasks such as analyzing data, personalizing messages, creating outline plans, as I've said. But when it comes to genuine originality and creative breakthroughs, it's not that great at it. It's still, that part is still a very human process. And I just don't think that it's great at coming up with that design. So I still use graphic designers, like I said. I have them in, they come up with the more authentic, original creations. And then we can use AI to put those into the videos, the AI videos, but that originality is still there. So it is that balance of having real people do the original thinking and having the AI doing that insight and the data and those monotonous, repetitive processes. The other thing is I still use a journalist for our writing. Yes, we do some of the content and the first drafts in AI, but on Monday, I had a call for 2 hours with a journalist. We were talking, and the good thing about that is we come at it at different angles. We're not just going, okay, do this, blah. What we're doing is we analyze, we're unpicking, we're coming at this angle, we're questioning ourselves. We're doing the big blue sky thinking that comes out with those big original ideas. AI, you can take those ideas once we've got them and sort of evolve them, but you still need that balance of reality, originality with the AI.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think it's almost like sometimes if you've got your roadblocks, you can get it kind of just gets you off that that sort of, I don't know where I'm going, I'm stuck. And then it gives you that. And then suddenly you've got this campaign frame or some idea. And then when you start going through it, and you work in a team, it can like bounce. That's what we do in our team. We've got a campaign we're running this year, and we started with an AI frame, and then we tweaked it, and then we're like, oh, that doesn't really sound like us. It doesn't sound like a human. But it's easy to start with something than it is to just start with a blank piece of paper, and it's a great starting point.
Absolutely.
As someone that's like really embraced AI and is running a team, how do you think we've talked about it with graphic designers, but how would you structure a marketing team to make sure you've got effective use of AI?
So I think the first thing you got to do is actively encourage the team to use it. There was this analogy, AI is like learning a new instrument. When you're learning a guitar to play the piano, it's new to us. We go on, we sound awful. We're clunky. No one even, people close the door, walk away. But AI is saying the more you use it, the more you embrace it, the better you get at it. And eventually you can create these amazing tunes, same as a musical instrument. So I think in essence, a competency comes from experimentation. So the way that I encourage my team is like, for example, yesterday, I heard about Google Deep Research. So apparently what Google Deep Research can do is you can give it a research project. It goes away and it builds out a to-do list. From that to-do list, it gives it to you and you then check it. So you've got the human interaction. Once you're happy with that to-do list, you can then send it back and it goes off and it does the research. And it visits like about 100, more than 100 websites. It pulls together all this research. It reviews it. It summarizes it. It analyzes it. And then it puts it into a Google Doc that you can then edit. I saw this. The first thing I did was send it to my product marketer. I went, oh my goodness, have you seen this tool? Can you play with it? Can you see whether it's viable? We're planning out a campaign at the moment. To have a report in that campaign would be amazing. It's a really good lead magnet, or it's something we can give to the sales team. It's insight we can use for social. But if this could do that, think about it. In the past, it's months of research. With agencies, it can get expensive, and this can take it on. So by encouraging your teams to embrace these tools, I think that's really, really good. Like we've said so many times, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all these generative AI tools, they have their place for creating first-time drafts. But I think we've all become a bit of an expert in identifying that. So when working with teams, I think it's building out those guidelines and frameworks that make sure that they understand, use it, but understand it hallucinates. It's very samey. The better the prompts are, like I say, we've built our prompt library. So we have something that we can grow and experiment and just encourage people to embrace AI. It's not going away. Everyone thought it would just be a one-hit wonder. Back to the band analogy and the music. But it's not. It really is becoming an integral part of our lives. I do think embrace it and encourage your team, because there are so many tools out there. And that's the other thing. I think there are so many tools. It's overwhelming. So I think you have to focus, find a few tools that fit in with your team and stick with those, learn them. So like for me, HGPT, Gemini, Claude, I love those. It's in video for video. I use Sonos for music. There's different things coming all the time. But I think when looking at AI and how to adopt and how to use it, it's really good at those data-driven, repetitive, and predictive tasks. So if you can get your team to do that, then I think it's quite a good fit.
Yeah, I use for the video, I use a tool called Loom. I don't know if you've used it, but that's great because it can write you a standard operating process in 2 minutes, which is great. And it's got loads of other features. They're adding AI on all the time, actually, onto that functionality. I've seen them really develop their product since I've been using it for the last couple of years. So looking ahead, what AI advancements do you think are going to have the most significant impact in marketing in the next few years?
I think this is so interesting. I've never seen a sector or something that has moved so fast. I keep going back to November 2022 when ChatGPT dropped, and even Altman, who's CEO of OpenAI, went, we've got this thing, we're not really sure about it. And even they were so shocked by how it was embraced. And now I think they have over 300 million or 300 billion. I think it's 300 million users. No, it must be million. Anyway. And so I think AI is advancing at such a rate. And I think what we have to remember is back in those days, it was text to text. That's what it was. You put text in, it's about text out. Then we started getting these image like Midjourney and DALL-E and things like that. Then it started getting these video tools that started to come. And now these generative AI tools that used to be unimodal, is what they refer to them as, are now becoming multimodal, which means that like ChatGPT is an example of that. It's a type of AI. It can process multiple types of data at once. It can do images, it can do sound, it can do text, it can do video. So they're all moving, evolving. And then we've got these AI agents that people have started talking about sort of the end of last year. And ChatGPT 4.0 is this week, in fact, 2 days ago, they released 4.0 tasks, which is a agent. And what it can do is you can set up, they're not tasks. It's like what I do with Alexa. Hey, Alexa, can you send me a news update? You can say to ChatGPT, can you send me every day a summary of the latest news in this region or in this industry? Or, like for me, it's managing teams. So can you send me a summary? And it can do that. And that's brilliant. And another cool thing, sorry, I get a bit excited about this, is like part of this multimodal stuff. Did you know that I can chat GPT when you talk in your little chat box? You've got the little voice microphone icon, but next to it, you've got an icon that actually looks like the music app Spotify. It looks like a little Spotify logo. But if you click on that, it's got a camera. Have you ever done this?
No, I don't think I have.
So you open the camera and you can go to your fridge with the camera. You can show ChatGPT the camera. You're inside of your fridge and you say, what can I make with this? And we'll actually say, oh, you've got some eggs, you've got some milk, you've got some ham. Why don't you make a frittata? And so I was thinking about this and I'm thinking, how can we apply that to marketing? So weirdly, I am going to show you this. Yesterday, I took my little camper van bus.
Yeah.
And I said to it, right, I went, how can I use this in a marketing campaign for paddleboarding, which is really after the intro you did. It fits into all of this. And this is the answer it came back with. They went, that model van is great. For paddleboarding campaign, you could use it to evoke a sense of adventure and freedom. It could symbolize a journey to new experiences with paddleboarding as the destination. You could even pair it with a tagline about exploring the waters.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's brilliant. And I think this is the evolution.
That was from an image. That was just from an image and a prompt.
That was
basically
from my video. It literally had the camera open and was videoing it. And I should put that in. And as I'm videoing, I'm talking to it as well at the same time.
Oh, wow. I'm going to try this because at the end of the day, I often find that I get to a point, I get to about 5:30 and I struggle to write things down. So when I do, I'm better at speaking. So I just do myself a Loom video and then I'll throw it in and say, right, can you make notes based on what I said on the video? But that means I wouldn't even have to do the Loom video. I could just do it in the AI tool and say, look, I'm a bit tired. I don't want to write. So I'm basically telling you this. Can you give me feedback? That's amazing.
It's just evolving so fast. Like, I think these are 2 years old, some of these. They're all getting quite samey and they're all going in the same direction. But if you think about Elon Musk has got Grok, he's gone in 9 months to where they've got to in 2 years. Because he's got the ability, he's got the team, he's got the know-how. I mean, they're just advancing so quickly. And so then I started thinking about this and thinking, well, how do we apply this all to marketing? Because what is the future of AI in marketing? How are we going to get there? What is coming down the pipe? And so I was thinking about this and I was like, do you know who will have the answer? AI. So I actually asked it what it thought and it came up with a whole list of stuff. And you could just go and ask, what is the future of AI in marketing? But the things that I picked up that I quite liked is, from Mark's perspective, is that hyper-personalization at scale because of the data and the insights we're going to get. And it's going to be in real time. It means we can refine how marketing messages are tailored to individual preferences and behaviors and buying cycles. So I think it's really going to speed that up. Chatbots. People using chatbots, conversational chatbots, almost becoming human because they can think, especially the new agents, because of the way they think, they can become increasingly more sophisticated. I think that they will help with lead generation, but also customer success and account-based marketing, because we can tailor these to have the different answers and questions and drive people down different channels. I think they will be able to handle more complex inquiries because they will be learning and understanding a little better. They should start integrating with our CRM systems if they don't already. And then that will definitely improve the customer experience across multiple touch points. I quite like that one. And the other one was, which I've already talked to, the ChatGPT, is that voice and visual search. I think AI will definitely expand. I think it would change how B2B buyers discover and interact with us and our brands. I think companies will have to optimize our content for these formats to stay competitive, especially because we know decision makers are going to come at us with a mix of devices and platforms. So those are kind of like the three that I was quite excited about.
Oh, excellent. No, it has just been, we've nearly run out of time now, but it has been absolutely a pleasure to hear your views and understand what you're doing and how you're using AI and how quickly it's all really emerged and how come on and the learning curve, and that you're still on that journey, as we all are really, of learning with AI, but you've really embraced it, which is amazing. Is there anything you want to mention before we sign off?
How long do I have?
We're over time a little bit.
Okay, so very quickly, I think we all talked about SEO was a huge thing. We need to look out for GEO, which is generative engine optimization. It's how lots of people now, especially if you go to like Google, it uses its own AI. If you ask it something, you have the AI summary at the top. People aren't scrolling as much because you're using the AI description to get your answer. So how is it now that we optimize these generative AI tools so that when people are asking, how do they bring up our products, our brands? And interestingly, I had a call this week with one of the top SEO platforms to ask them about this. And even they were like, we're just in discovery. We realize we have to look. So they don't actually have an answer yet, but we know that they need to be looking at this and helping us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it is being ahead of the game on this, really, because other people won't be doing it. So if you can be ahead of the SEO game on the AI side, I think it's definitely one to look at.
Yep.
Well, anyway, thank you so much. It really has been a pleasure. And that we've covered, I think, a lot in a very short space of time. But that's all we've got time for today. But, it's been a pleasure, Mel. So thank you for joining us.
Likewise.
And thank you, the listener, for tuning in to the Spotlight on Marketing. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate and review the podcast. And don't forget to share it with your colleagues and friends in the technology sector and the marketing community. Until next time, keep shining that spotlight on the power of marketing and driving business growth.